following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998. Welcome to PWR Sudden Impact Radio, breaking down all that happened on tonight's Impact Wrestling broadcast on Spike TV. Sudden Impact Radio is on the air.
Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to Sudden Impact Radio on Blog Talk Radio. The man they call me, Dad, the real Matthew Thomas. Matthew, we just went off the air with Impact Wrestling at 8:59, but welcome to the program. We're going to talk Impact tonight. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm doing just dandy. How about yourself, Meathead?
I am living large and in charge, and just checked into Sudden Impact Studios on Foursquare. Isn't that fantastic? I know you
I like it.
Let's talk about Impact for tonight, and let's start. Excuse me, boy, I've been imbibing a little bit too much. Let's start off with the top story. We heard in the beginning of the program that we may be getting somebody with their mask taken off tonight, and Matthew, at 8:58.5, somebody was unmasked, and that was the person we've been waiting on. Why don't you tell us who it was?
We had the unmasking, and very fitting, the night after Halloween when everybody's, taking their mask off. We should get the unmasking. But we had the unmasking of Luke Gallows as we went off the air. And it's somebody that anybody who's been following this pretty closely had very well expected him a long time ago. I think it was pretty evident, but it was more exciting to me than the whole Devon reveal, because this is somebody that this is his first really introduction into the company. It's somebody new, and ultimately with this Aces and Eights angle, you hope they use it to elevate some new talent and get some new guys across, and hopefully tonight we saw the first step in that evolution.
Yeah, evolution. Very nice play on words there. This isn't the beginning of Batista, Randy Orton, Triple H, and, evolution is mystery. You ever noticed that they were evolution, but Lemmy could never say evolution? He called it evolution. Did you ever notice that?
He's still working on it. It's his own interpretation of it, I guess.
You ever notice that Motorhead only has 3 songs?
It seems like it, doesn't it?
AC/DC has 5, Motorhead has 3, but I love every one of them. All right, I digress. Let's talk about it. Yeah, Luke Gallows. The angle that everybody had mentioned that was made for him. It was his introduction. And when Luke Gallows was officially announced on Twitter by TNA Wrestling, by Dixie Carter, by Luke Gallows himself, that he had signed his contract and he was a part of the TNA roster, it was just a matter of time before Luke Gallows had officially debuted on television in a role, which, again, no surprise at all, but still, kind of like you pointed out, pretty exciting. I was pretty happy. The moment that it slipped off, it's up, there he is. I wonder if a bell would have rang, would he have went into a, just into a stare.
I was waiting. That's when he was still addicted to substances, though. Remember, once he became drug-free, he was fine, so I think he's been cured.
I understand it, but I miss Festus. I really do. I thought that was one of the most clever things that WWE had put out in years, was the man was just, not dim-witted so much as in, he had this condition. And when the bell rang, man, it was awesome, especially when Deuce and Domino would ring the bell consistently to see him.
Yeah. And it was great. It was great, the look on his face, like the way he had, like the tongue curled up and everything. I mean, it was spot on. Oh, it was a very, very entertaining angle.
Yes, but this is TNA. This is Impact Wrestling Live, and Luke Gallows is a member of the Aces and Eights. We got a little bit of a tease between Bully Ray and Devon, and I'm glad they did it like that, because honestly, I would have never thought it, but Bully Ray versus Devon is a pay-per-view match, and they shouldn't be giving that away for free on TV.
Not at all, and I was a little concerned earlier in the evening when they teased perhaps Devon Angle at the pay-per-view, and I had a little bit of concern that maybe they were going to give us some type of finish tonight and then proceed on to that. So I'm glad it ended the way they did. And you're exactly right, especially in this angle with the stakes as high as they are with the Aces and Eights storyline. It is a match that needs to be safe for a pay-per-view and needs to have a little bit more build-up.
Yeah, so very, very nicely done. Good finish to the end of Impact, but let's run down the matches, and we'll talk about the program. But before we do that, let's talk about how you, the fan, the listener, can interact with the program. The number to call in, 347-996-5278, or toll-free at 877-317-9772. You want to interact with us on Twitter, make sure you're using that hashtag Sudden Impact Radio. And again, the real M. Thomas and at WCW Meathead. Also want to mention that being a big WCW fan that I am, I knew him from his gimmick in WCW, and he had been around. He's one of both Bob's boys, passing away today as well. Matthew, why don't you say a couple words?
Yeah, just some more sad news in the wrestling world, unfortunately, today. It's just one of those things that you certainly hate to hear. Yeah,
and Brad Armstrong, again, hell of a worker in the ring, as you saw on Twitter. A bunch of workers that had worked with him, sharing their thoughts and their matches and their interactions with him. I know one of my favorites was Punk put out about 3 or 4 tweets in a row back to back about how great it was to work with him. And my other favorite, Chris Jericho, mentioned how he rode in a car. And again, my favorite wrestlers of all time were Jericho, Benoit. It was Malenko, it was Saturn. It was, Eddie. Those guys, that group right there. Brad Armstrong was part of that group a lot of times, more than not. So it's tough to lose another one, that for sure. So let's talk about Impact tonight, and let's talk about the way the show opened. Again, it's Joseph Park this time, firing off in the ring. And, Impact and TNA, they've done a really good job lately. It was our pet peeve that we had mentioned that the show used to open up always with Bobby Roode opening up the show and, just kind of going Triple H, if you will, and continually just yap, 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 every show the same thing. But tonight we get Joseph Park, and he lets us know that he's not a wrestler, but he's an attorney at Park, & Park. Have you ever thought that Joseph Park would have gotten to the point where we were excited to see him show up on TV and get on the microphone?
Yeah, and that was my thought exactly. It's been like we talked about last week, it's been forever since this whole angle started, and we haven't had the whole payoff with him and Abyss. But honestly, right now, I'm fine with it. I'm enjoying Park, and if they continue this for the next several months or how long, I'm enjoying this guy.
Yeah, Abyss or, Chris Parks, if you will, has really recreated himself. And, you don't really think of it too much these days when it comes to wrestling, but the last one to really kind of flip it around for himself, if you think of Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Mick Foley, the three faces of Foley. But, that's what guys used to do back in the day. They used to, flip it around. They might throw a mask on. You got Christopher Daniels, for example. Man, I miss Curry, man. Yeah. Curry Head is going to call in later, we assume, but I miss Curry, man. He was hot. He was spicy. He tasted great.
And he had the moves, too. He could break it down.
Yeah, he could break it down. Konnichiwa! Yeah, I do miss him. But, it's nice to see Chris Parks, Joseph Parks, Abyss, kind of flipping it around a little bit for us. So real happy to see that. But, it's open fight night, and he asked Hulk Hogan to give him the opportunity to face a member of Aces and Eights. So he tried calling him out. They obviously stormed the ring. Here comes Sting and the boys to storm the ring as well. And, Sting says it right there. Someone's losing a mask tonight. So did you know it was going to be Luke Gallows, or did you think it'd be, Job Squad C? That
was the first thought that came to mind, just mainly because that's the only one right now off the top of my head that I have no question as far as who it is. So that was kind of the next logical thought as far as the next reveal. So yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind, just because I didn't know anybody else right off the top of my head who they would necessarily reveal at this point. Although at the end, when they were all running down, I noticed, unless I missed something, that Garrett Bischoff was absent. And I thought maybe tonight's the night
wasn't
we get the big swerve, and he's
No, Garrett was on TV, so blah blah blah. But he was on TV. Opening match tonight, Magnus calling out Samoa Joe. Loved the way this went down. The match, is I'm not going to say forgettable. The guys did what they're supposed to do in the ring, but it's the finish and what happened after that really has me talking. Samoa Joe wins by disqualification and keeps the TNA TV championship, and will now defend that against Magnus. I believe it's a no DQ as well at the pay-per-view. So Magnus really putting himself over and setting it up to keep this little feud that kind of fizzled off for a little bit, going up to the pay-per-view now.
Absolutely. I thought he looked very strong, standing over Joe tonight, and I'm glad to see they kind of rekindled it, because it didn't seem like there was that much build up to the Bound for Glory match. And then last week with Joe facing someone else, it really felt like that. Okay, maybe they just are going in a different direction, and we're going to see Joe wrestling somebody different each week. I think these two guys work great together, and I'm really glad to see that they're going in the direction at least for another pay-per-view match. And I think if there's anybody right now for Joe to drop to, it's Magnus.
Yeah. Right after that, we got another trip inside Jeff Hardy's head. Oh, boy. You know what? There is missing audio, by the way. I do have a bonus audio from the show tonight, stuff that didn't make it out onto Impact. It went a little something
kind of like some deleted scenes, right?
Right, exactly. I just had a burrito. I don't know if I'm going to shat myself in the ring or not. I hope I don't soil my underloons. Yeah, it's really, it's 2 weeks now, back to back. I think it's got to go.
Yeah. Well,
not for me.
It's my first thought was somebody after last week sat around a table and made the decision that, okay, this really seemed to go over well last week. I think it really worked last week. Let's do it again.
Who did it go over well with? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. Somebody must have liked it, or thought somebody liked it somewhere well enough to do it again. So I'm just racking my brain over the whole thought process that goes back to, okay, let's go into Jeff Hardy's head again for the second week in a row and see what's cooking.
I wish my hair was just one color. If they only knew. No, to be honest, and we've heard stories and we've heard tell of what happens in WWE when there's like a bad gimmick on TV and it's just amusement for the boys where, only Vince liked it and a couple of writers, trying to suck up to Vince. That's what this feels like to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how he thinks in like one sentence increments. He thinks one sentence at a time and pauses and then another sentence.
And he takes so much care and goes so slow putting his makeup on. Yeah. So next up, Christopher Daniels and Kaz. And did I hear new music for either Kaz or Daniels? And Daniels just literally cutting a rug going down the ramp.
Yeah. He's got some moves. I think we just talked about that. He's got some moves.
He's got the moves like Jagger. Sorry. They call out on Open Fight Nights, obviously, two Latinos that, have been on their minds, and it's not the exact same two we thought it would be. It would be the Spanish commentary team, which, again, entertaining stuff.
Absolutely. It is Open Fight Night, and you can call out whoever you want to on Open Fight Night. I thought this was great for their characters. I continue to enjoy these two guys, and it's something different to continue the feud up until the pay-per-view as opposed to, one of them wrestling Chavo one week and the other one wrestling Hernandez the next week. It's something a little different to kind of keep the guys separated a little bit and to keep, stoking that fire, to keep that feud going. So I thought it worked great, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I want to talk about the package that aired next and the match that obviously came right after it. Christian York. This is their first... the first guy, really, that's not 19, doesn't look like a baby, doesn't look like, he's got no body fat on him. This is a real wrestler, folks. And this is a guy that has been around the business a long time. They sold it to you like that, and it's absolutely true. And more so than they even told you. Christian York, yes, was in the first ever pay-per-view, first ever TNA, show ever. And, his partner went on to be Joey from, M&M. So Christian York's still hanging and banging in the indies. And if this was one night that a Gut Check talent was going to beat a current TNA talent, this was that night. I thought that Christian York should have took the win tonight.
Same here. I was thinking the exact same thing the entire match. And I honestly had a hard time seeing him in the ring against Zema Ion. As much as I like Zema Ion, as much as I enjoy Zema Ion, I really had a hard time buying the fact that Zema Ion would realistically beat him.
Right, and Zema Ion was the established talent, and Christian York was trying to get the job. That I understand putting them in there with each other because, kind of like even though you bring in a guy that hasn't worked in a while, or, for example, Joey Ryan, a guy who's trying to get a job is going to work a, producer, even though it's a talented else. No. You put them in there together because Christian York is going to show Zema Ion a thing or two.
Absolutely, and I thought it was a very, very good match. I can't remember going into it with the build-up. I can't remember the last time if I've ever really been that excited about a Gut Check guy. And I think it really delivered. I think it was very evident the talent that Christian York has, and I think it came across very good. And like I said, Meathead, I was right there with you. Tonight felt like the night that the Gut Check guy might go over, the Gut Check guy might win, and there were a couple close finishes there where I thought it might be the finish. So, I was actually kind of surprised not to see York go over, but regardless, I think a very, very strong showing nonetheless.
I think it would have went over if it were anybody but Zema Ion. I think that might have damaged Zema Ion technically if he would have took a loss from, a Gut Check guy. So it makes sense, I guess, with Zema being out there. Now that I think about it, yes, Zema's out there. He's probably going to have to lose, to Zema Ion. But anybody else, anybody that didn't have a title, yeah, I think York would have went over.
Yeah, and Zema Ion winning by submission, too, the second time we've seen that here in the recent weeks. So trying to establish him a little bit more as a submission guy, it looks like.
Yep. So there was also another call-out. This time it was, and by the way, I had more than just myself watching Impact tonight. I had company, and I also kept it on during jail the half hour beforehand. And, the promos that go on beforehand are sometimes good, sometimes not so good, but apparently the missus and the 17-year-old, not a big fan of the ODB. I thought it was a hilarious promo. I said, she's kind of she's a friend of the program. She's from the Midwest. We've had her around. She's been on the show before. She's been on the Pro Wrestling Report. We pull for Jess. We pull for the ODB, and they go, "What are those things in front of her?" I said, "Oh, those are her breasts." Yes.
Very nice. Very nice description.
Yes, so ODB calling out Jesse, not male Jesse, not female Jesse, male Jesse. And did you see that hamburger meat on his chest at the end of the match?
Yeah, look kind of.
She beat him.
Rough
she
there.
beat him good. Yeah, that's okay. This week we didn't have Taz and Tenay taking over. Taz stuck on the East Coast. But still a very awkward handoff between Team 1 and Team 2. Basically, hey, dude, get out of my chair. I'm here now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One thing with the first announced team tonight, I didn't notice it last week, but for some reason it really stuck out to me tonight. The tonality of both guys seem almost identical, and at times, and not that it's not a huge problem, it's just something that I don't ever recall noticing with an announced team before. Two guys that almost sound, I think, exactly alike.
Didn't ring for me yet, but now that you mention it, I'm going to listen again next week when they do it. Like I said, TNA, and I said this last week, I like the fact that they're trying things. I really do. But I mean, even the awkward setting of the headphones down on the table. He was, I almost sat it down on the microphone. Said, let me lay it down so the mic is up. Hey, man, that mic is movable. Just put it up against the headset. You know, it slides. Did you hear that? It slides back and forth. You can buy a headset from Radio Shack for $5. Robbie E. going out to the ring and calling out Jeff Hardy. He goes, I've already beat you once, bro. It's time to do it twice. And he calls out the champ. And the champ, I'm surprised we didn't. Next time, instead of in the mirror or walking through talking about the contenders, I want Jeff Hardy's thoughts to play in the arena while he's walking. When his eyes are closed, that may be the payoff. That would be something that, and then I want to see him hit something when he's walking. I don't want him to hurt. I just want to see him trip on something. Let's talk Matt Morgan. What's up with the cape?
He's got a new little gimmick. It looks like.
Matt Morgan, still looking very vicious. He took out RVD in the match, and Joey Ryan says, normally I try to stay away from VDs, but I'm calling one out tonight. RVD, come on down.
That was pretty good. That might be the line of the night right there.
Joey's bringing Sleazy back, and they continued to progress. Joey Ryan versus RVD. They also continued to progress at the same time. Matt Morgan versus Hulk Hogan and the TNA locker room, who he keeps taking out one at a time. Matt Morgan looking for real. If this can keep going, Matt Morgan would be a great TNA champion.
Yeah, I'm interested in Matt Morgan for really the first time. He's always had potential there, but it's never really clicked with me. And over the last few weeks, with the strength of the promos and just his presence, he has really, really brought it. And the whole cape thing, it seems kind of silly, but especially the little scene where Hogan's having his grand opening of his memorabilia store or wherever. It's really hit or miss with me whenever they try to work a storyline into, a real life event like that. It typically doesn't flow very well with me. But the cape, it might be a little something else to help elevate this guy. He's got a cape now. Capes are pretty important.
I don't know what world you're wearing a cape in, Matthew, but capes aren't going for me. Other than that, I find Matt Morgan to be solid right now, absolutely solid. Folks, we are taking phone calls. The number 347-996-5278 or toll free at 877-317-9772. We got a real good handful of calls on hold. Let us get through Impact. We'll take a break after the Impact wrap, and we will get to the calls. So let's talk about the promo between AJ Styles and Bobby Roode. They referenced it. I knew it was going to come up. I was going to bring it up this week. I know you would as well, but AJ Cena or John Styles or whatever's going on, AJ in hotels, it seems to be a common thing if you're paying attention lately. They called it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was still a little surprised they did. Anytime you have a company who's still in the growing stages and not as established, of course, as the WWE, it always surprises me when they, especially an active storyline like that, make reference to something to remind you of the other guy's product. But yeah, the similarities are quite uncanny. So I guess it's not that big of a surprise that they would bring it up. And you got to stop and think. I seriously doubt there's anybody who's actively watching TNA that doesn't watch WWE. So
it's the same thing. It's the same thing I've said over and over. Every WWE fan may not know about TNA or even ROH. Every TNA fan knows exactly who WWE is, and every ROH fan knows who TNA and WWE are. So it's kind of a pecking order. We know that. We understand that. But anybody watching TNA got that. There was not a single person that watched that show that didn't get that and said, who? Yeah, they took a shot at him. That was kind of cool.
Absolutely.
A little mini AJ Styles pipe bomb.
Yeah.
So
how about
I liked
that?
it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. And finally, Bully Ray and Devon, and we talked about it at the beginning of the program. No fight. It was a non-match, which is the way it should have been. They teased us with it. That's got to be saved for pay-per-view. And we had the unmasking of Luke Gallows. And Tenay yelled out, "I know exactly who he is. This is a big man with a big reputation." Fair enough. That's all we needed.
Yeah, and I don't think the name was ever specifically said, and for the people who are unfamiliar with him, too, I think that does a good job at building intrigue for next week for the viewers to turn in to see exactly who this guy is that may not be aware of him.
Yep, absolutely. Folks, we're going to go to break. We're going to take a couple minutes rest here, but when we get back, going right into your phone calls. Again, the number 347-996-5278. Toll free 877-317-9772, plus on Twitter, hashtag Sudden Impact Radio. You're listening to Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio.
On sale right now at PWRshow.com. Get all the latest Pro Wrestling Report merchandise, including the Fella t-shirt, Yabba Dabba Bitch, and the ever-popular Milwaukee 316 on the front and on the back. All of the pay-per-view events that happen in Milwaukee. Get all this merchandise, including the tremendous t-shirt, and much, much more, available right now at PWRshow.com. PWRshow.com. All the latest PWR gear on sale right now.
Welcome back to Sudden Impact
You're
Radio.
listening to
Blog Talk Radio, the man
PWR
they call me
Sudden
Dad.
Impact Radio,
Breaking
down all that happened on tonight's Impact
say
Wrestling
about a half hour,
broadcast.
so we'll go, right? You know, nobody's counting minutes, but it's been a real quick show so far. We've run down Impact, and now we've gotten to the point where we're going to go to the phones. Again, if you want to interact with us tonight, the number is 347-996-5278, or toll free at 877-317-9772. We've referenced them. You know what? I think it's time, Matthew. We're going to go to him first tonight. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
From Memphis, Tennessee, it is Curry Head. Curry Head, you're on the Sudden Impact Radio.
What's up, meathead? How you doing today?
Doing good, sir.
How you doing, Matthew?
Curry Head, what's shaking?
Oh, well, I'm hot, I'm spicy, and this is for the ladies. I do taste great.
Hey, now.
That's how I got my nickname. Because of that great man, Curry Head. I did used to love watching him in the old Japan state, but I got to get back on point. Before I start, I want to give a rest in peace to Brad Armstrong. You know, I know this is not TNA, but I want to mention it. I started watching Brad Armstrong. I remember his first days when he was in Georgia. I remember he had that big run in the old Mid-South days. I remember going to my auntie's house in Greenwood, Mississippi, which was the edge of the territory that you can watch it on TV every summer, watching Mid-South, watching those good wrestlers in Mid-South. I liked him. He wasn't the most charismatic like his brother Road Dogg, but he was the best solid wrestler out there. But let me get to I just want to mention that, and I want to give my condolences to their family. Okay, now back to the critique of TNA. I got 3 things to talk about. Number 1, I like the Samoa Joe match. I like how that match is building up, and I want to say give props to Samoa Joe and Magnus. I like to say this, when Samoa Joe won the television belt, that brought him back into when he was missing a little bit of fire, a little bit of intensity. And that match with that feud with him and Magnus, I kind of see that going on to building both guys up. This is the first time that the television belt has improved a wrestler that was pretty much dormant for the past 2 years. And that title, and him taking that title, Magnus, has elevated both guys since they was pretty much stagnant at the early part of the summer, and now they got a little feud going on, and they got some fire and passion. I kind of like that. Number 2, this AJ, I like the little quirk that AJ did, and I keep saying I like that little pun that he made fun of what was going on Monday night. I like that. But I like this match between Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, and the drunken cowboy, the Tennessee Cowboy, James Storm. I'm liking this match. And this is a match that I got to see. And like the stipulation, whoever gets 10 will not get a title match. I don't know who's it going to be, but that person got to be a strong person. And I kind of figure it might be Rude, or it might be a swerve like it's going to be James Storm, or might be AJ. You don't know who's going to win it, and I like that. That's the first time in a match in a while that TNA I don't know. You can't tell who's going to be, and I'm waiting to see how that's going to happen. Now, let me get to my final thought is the Aces and Aces with Luke Gallows, Drew Piskett, Festus, whoever. I was shocked. I know he was signed, and that's been confirmed. I thought it was going to personally be, and this is my opinion, that it was going to be Devon. I was shocked that it was Drew Piskett. I was shocked it was Luke Gallows, but I thought it was going to be Devon.
Wait, Curry. You thought it was going to be Devon. He's already been unmasked.
Really, not Devon. I mean D'Lo Brown. I'm sorry, guys.
D'Lo Brown? Oh, no.
Hold on. I'm not. I'll be damned if it's going to be that man, that Bischoff, Garrett Bischoff. I'd rather have D'Lo Brown than.
You better recognize.
You better recognize. But I'm still saying this, and you can stick to my guns that D'Lo Brown is going to be part of this Aces and Eights. I've been saying that for the past 2 months. Have I not stated that, guys?
You've said it, so it's out there. I don't see it happening. Curhead, we got to wrap you up. We got more calls on hold.
I got a production that I got to go to, and I'm working into a new field now. I'm working in movies. You're gonna love my movie.
And on that note, Curry, we got to let you go. He started talking about some sort of movies. I don't think he was part of the Disney Star Wars Lucasfilms merger. Do you, Matthew?
He's a man of the cinema, from what I hear.
Let's call it to the 708. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, Scooby. I just got to say I've been saying this for a while. Gary Bischoff is the leader of Aces and Eights. I know you guys don't want to hear this, but Gary Bischoff was supposed to be revealed at the pay-per-view, but they changed their mind. It's going to be the big swerve. Notice you're saying Gary Bischoff all night, but you didn't see him at the end.
Oh, Scooby.
Gary Bischoff, a.k.a. Shane McMahon.
Oh, Scooby, no.
Yeah, he's gonna say, Hogan, you didn't give me opportunity. I told you I was fighting on your side, Hulkster. You turned on me. It's gonna be Gary Bischoff.
Anything else you want to talk about? Because you just made me throw up in my mouth a little.
Well, that was a good shot. I like the three-way match they're going to have between Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, and James Storm. I don't know which way that's going.
All right. Well, thank you again for calling in, Matthew. Before you jumped on with us, earlier in the year, we talked about the beginning of the Aces and Eights, and I teased it as well and said, you know what? It's Garrett Bischoff. It'll be Garrett Bischoff, the Eric Watts of 2012, Garrett Bischoff. The people are behind it now. I hope TNA Creative is not listening.
He did make a very valid point, though. You saw him backstage tonight, ready to go and ready to attack, but when it hit the fan there at the end, he was nowhere to be seen.
Let's go to 973. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Don. I'm calling from home of the defending Super Bowl champion New York Giants, New York City.
Don, are you okay? How's everything going over there?
Oh, yeah, everything's
good. Okay, just making sure.
I was just reading that Hulk Hogan attended Kim Kardashian's private Halloween party at some club in South Beach, Miami. There's photos of him coming in. He dressed as himself from the 80s. That was his costume.
Oh, no. That's... I don't even know if that'd be funny. Wouldn't it be more sad? Honestly, would it be sad more than funny?
and you dress as yourself. I don't know if you can do that or not.
I don't know.
It's on GossipCenter.com.
Okay, well, thank you for the free plug for GossipCenter.com. Don, what else do you got?
Well, of course. I mean, PWRshow.com if we're going to plug websites.
There we go.
PWRshow.com. But, yeah, tonight I thought that Kazarian and Frankie were fantastic again on the mic. Really stirred the pot with the crowd. And I thought that was a great promo, how they called out the Spanish announce team. You got to love them drawing that, card out of the deck. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. And again, Tom, thank you for the call. Matt, we talked about this a little earlier. I enjoyed them calling out the Spanish announce team. I wonder, though, if they got the idea from Joey Ryan, who earlier on Twitter today said, you know what, it's open fight night tonight, and I'm calling out SoCal Valerie.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting match, too. Would have been our second intergender match of the night.
I don't think Val would be able to wrestle. I've taken a quick peek. I don't know if she's gotten a little bigger, if she's pregnant, but I don't know if she's in fighting shape right now.
Not quite at the fighting weight, huh?
Not at her fighting weight. She's and again, if she is with, that's fantastic news. But I took a peek. She didn't look the same. Maybe looks a little different. Maybe something happened. But I don't think she's at her fighting weight. Plus, when was the last angle she was in? The one with the player from the Himalaya and Jay Lethal and that little love triangle. How long did that go on?
Yeah, that's been a while back.
Wow. Let's go to one more. How about the 252? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Tony from North Carolina.
Tony from North Carolina. You guys are okay out there, right?
Oh, yeah. So far, so good. They're getting cold.
Good.
It's all good.
Okay.
My thing is, I think, the WWE, they recognize who TNA is. Why is you would name a woman one hottest TNA franchise player, AJ Styles. They know who AJ Styles is. WWE, they throw their own little jabs at TNA from time to time. So it's good for TNA really wake up and realize AJ Styles, use him to throw some ball right back at him, But as the 19 what they got going on with Taz now, to me, the 19 got to be hot. You need an asshole sitting at that table, You need somebody going to bring me in, going to make me love to hate them. And until they do that, I think that 19 going to be kind of solid, really.
Yeah, and again, Tony, thank you for the call. We appreciate it. I want to mention this as well, Matthew. Speaking of people that was paid to be loved to hate, happy birthday going out to my favorite heel commentator of all time, a guy that I wish I was when it comes to the wrestling business, Mr. Bobby Heenan.
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds funny because you hear Damien say it more often than not because he's on the air more often, but him and I have the same thoughts and enjoyed the same commentary. There has been so many days when just on a boring day, got nothing to do, I'll go YouTube or go WWE.com or whatever, Hulu. I got to listen to Bobby and Gorilla do commentary together. Go watch some videos from, Prime Time and go watch, oh my God. I loved watching Bobby get so upset that he'd have to storm off.
Yeah, just a team like that shows you how good commentary can be.
Yeah, and they really sold the product more than anything else, and nobody really noticed it. You hear the bickering between them first, but they sold the product.
Absolutely. Done kind of under the table, done matter-of-factly, but it's definitely a fine art to it, no doubt.
Yeah, and Bobby, unfortunately, everything that's been going on with him lately, we wish him the best, of course, but happy birthday going out to Bobby. I hope you hear this. And Matthew, it's that time of the night again. Are you ready for it?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about Impact Final Thoughts. This is the Impact Final Thoughts. It's Aces and Eights again this week, and with Aces and Eights, we finally got an additional reveal at the end of the night tonight after Impact went off the air. We had the reveal of a man we knew that was already in the company, but finally it was given to us. It was Luke Gallows, and he is also a member of Aces and Eights.
Yeah, we finally got to see Luke Gallows revealed tonight, puts yet another face with Aces and Eights. It's no longer just Devon and Pals. We've got another reveal. So, like we said earlier in the program, it's a new talent they're bringing into TNA, a younger guy, somebody that when this Aces and Eights angle is over with, you really hope to see that it does to help elevate. So I'm hoping this is the part where the whole Aces and Eights, it gets good. It brings some young talent in, gets the viewers familiarized with some of the younger talent out there. So really looking forward to see where Aces and Eights and Luke Gallows go from here.
Yep. Also, we had a little bit more interaction between, speaking of Aces and Eights, Bully Ray and Devon. We were teased a match on Open Fight Night this Thursday on Impact, and it didn't happen. That's where the reveal happened. We also got a interaction from Joseph Park, we haven't seen in a while, calling out members of Aces and Eights as well. So very good interactive play between the groups and the different talents that have had their Aces and Eights issues, as well as Kurt Angle, who was the target last week. Also, we saw a match set for the pay-per-view Turning Point. It's going to be AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, and the Cowboy James Storm. The winner gets the next title shot. The loser, the person pinned in that match, will not receive another title shot for 1 year.
These guys are definitely going to put on a good match. 3 very talented guys, no doubt about that. My only concern is having Storm and Roode involved this close after their final match of the feud at Bound for Glory. I was kind of hoping they would go in different directions and branch off just a little bit. Very interesting stipulation. The person who takes the pin is actually not going to be eligible for a title shot within the next year. So several different ways they can go with that. A lot of different storyline possibilities that can come out of those stipulations. So it is certainly going to be an interesting, intriguing, and just an overall good, entertaining wrestling match at Turning Point.
And, let's hope that we don't have a Frank Cosentino-type DQ countout at the pay-per-view where 2 individuals are counted out and one's left in the ring. Therefore, neither get it. There's a chance for it to be shenanigans. Also, finally, Matt Morgan really stepping up his game, wearing an old-school Hulk Hogan robe, and he's got his little buddy Joey Ryan with him as well. These guys are really getting over.
They both continue to shine. Morgan continues to be great on the mic to cut these very passionate promos that you really believe, and Joey Ryan being right there with him in the mix. These 2 guys, they look great to each other. It really, they look great, with each other, and it really just clicks. These two guys, big guy, little guy, they really, really seem to feed off of each other, and really look forward to where these 2 guys are going in the upcoming months.
Yep. So that's our Impact Final Thoughts. Don't forget to join us every Thursday night right after Impact goes off the air, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on Blog Talk Radio. So, Matthew, we ran down Impact, and we've got Turning Point. I don't have the date in front of me right off the top of my head, but I know we're a couple weeks out from Turning Point. We've got through the gimmick TV shows the last 2 weeks, right? Last week was Championship Thursday. This week was Open Fight Night. Next week, the only gimmick that we're going to have left on the show is the Al Snow, Bruce Pritchett, and Taz, where they rate Christian York. What do you think we're going to see before the pay-per-view, and how many more matches are we really going to get announced before we get to Turning Point?
Yeah, well, we got the stage set pretty good tonight, and that's always my concern with these gimmick shows is that you have these gimmick shows, but at the same time you need to continue to progress towards the pay-per-view, and I feel like sometimes in the past they have got a little too caught up in booking for just the week ahead and to making that a big show, and maybe not have focused on the build-up to the pay-per-view as much. I feel like tonight they came a lot closer to doing a little bit of both, to making tonight feel special with the call-outs, but at the same time helping to set the stage and helping to build to the pay-per-view. Going forward, kind of like we did with the build-up to Bound for Glory, I feel like we need to get a little more focus on the title picture. I feel like Aries and Hardy still needs a little bit of extra attention here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and thank you to the Chatmosphere, the chat room. Turning Point, November 11th. Thank you, Malvin J. Turning Point November 11th. So that means we've got one more Impact. Next week's Impact will be the Impact before Turning Point, the pay-per-view. So this is really the turning point in our show. I know that was a really bad, cheesy,
pretty good
segue, but here's the turning point in the show. We are going to wrap it up for here, Matthew. Unless you got anything else, we're going to call it.
That sounds like a plan.
You got to leave them wanting more. I mean, you got to leave them wanting. Good night, everybody. Costanza walking out the door. Jerk store, jerk store. Folks, let's do a little housekeeping, though, as well. PWR Primetime will be on Saturday night as well. Make sure you're hitting up the website, pwrshow.com. Also, if you're in the Milwaukee area, make sure you're watching it on My24 right after Ring of Honor Wrestling. And, we are just weeks away. Blizzard Brawl 8 is coming to Waukesha. This is I've heard it coined as the WrestleMania of the independents. The card is too big to list. Make sure you're getting over to David Hero's Facebook page, the Blizzard Brawl Facebook page, and names. There's a new GLCW champion as well. I don't know if you know this, Matthew.
That's what I hear. I think we actually saw him tonight, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Don't know if his big bodyguard's coming with him, but, bro, Robbie, he's the new GLCW heavyweight champion. So make sure you're getting out there. I know front row seats are gone. I know
you're listening to PWR Sudden Impact Radio.
There's also
breaking down all that happened on tonight's Impact Wrestling broadcast.
Facebook.com and look for the Blizzard Brawl page as well. For Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call me Dad. Thank you for joining us tonight right here on Blog Talk Radio.